Hey, good afternoon, everyone.
Good.
Good afternoon. Yeah. Hi. How's everybody?
Hi, Professor. How are you?
Good. How are you, Claudia? Hi. Well, as you know, hi,
Good afternoon.
Tia. Yeah, hi. I see your microphone. I see your mics, light up, and then I don't know. Then it just disappears. I don't know if it is because of the poor connectivity or whatever. But I see 9 people here, and let's see how many are in the how many have signed into the forum. So it looks like I have 9 people. So exactly the same number of people are both in the forum and the in the collaborate. So I guess we have we're down to 9 good people out of 25. Um, so as you know, today is the last day of class, and the final announcement has been made out, right? Final announcement has gone out, right? And that was already posted on Monday, last Monday. So you should know. Um, and um, as I've been emphasizing from the beginning of the semester, collaborate. We cannot do this by collaborate alone, um, because there is too much to cover, and collaborate. We have just too limited time on the collaborate. So I've been telling you from the day one, the main lecture is delivered already by the pre-recorded videos, right? So I hope actually by now, but you should have already covered everything all the way. You must be caught up all the way to chapter 7, which is risk and return part 2. Okay. And some of these were actually, it looks like no, that's not your class. That is from last year. I just put it there. Um, so I should have, put 2021 there. Anyway, so everything has already been covered by the main lecture, and in the collaborate, I just want to uh, since it's a reflection and review, uh, don't go don't rely on the collaborate only, right? You should get it done. You should do it uh, by the main lecture. Okay. So if we go back to where we were, so I was. So now last class of all the I gave you um, the steps of derivation, how the form. Oh, this one doesn't allow draw. Oh, can't do it here. Okay, so I'm gonna have to. So of the four, we already of the four models, right? We have already talked about um, the first model, which is zero growth model. The second one, constant growth model. We talked about how these models are derived, right? Now, from time to time, you understand that I use either V0 or S0, right? But let's be consistent, in most textbooks, they use V0, V for value of the stock. But as I've been telling you, usually when they V is used as the symbol for, of course, that's rational intrinsic value or rational price. But usually it's in aggregate symbol for aggregate amount, aggregate value of equity. So that's why sometimes I use S, right, for stock, right? Obvious, it's obvious what it stands for. So, what's going on? In zero growth model, it's just this dividend over R, and constant growth model is dividend at time t plus 1 over R minus G. And of course, dividend at time t plus 1 is dividend at time t times 1 plus G, right? Because you don't know what dividend at time t plus 1 is at time t. There's no way you can, but we can make a forecast, right? So if we know what G is, we can make a forecast. And how do we know what G is? Here's the example. If only I can draw on this, that would be wonderful. So Lamar Company, a small cosmetics company, paid the following per share dividends. And Lamar's required return, right? That means that's R. Any Oh, there, start inking. I can, then, okay. That's R, right? Yeah. That's too big. So I don't think, so what's important? So we know R, we know then, how do we know what G is, right? How do we know what the growth rate is? I mean, everything we need to know is given. Lamar's dividend is 7%, and they found growth rate of dividend to be 7%. How? I mean, this one, as if this is given here, but how do they know? You can't always expect these numbers to be given in the problem. So, but otherwise, the latest they paid, the latest dividend is $1.40. The latest dividend is $1.40. So that means, dividend at time t, right? This is, of course, then, dividend at time t minus 1, t minus 2, t minus 3, t minus 4, t minus 5. This is dividend at t minus 5. Our question is then, how do we know what dividend at time t plus 1 is? And since they've already given the growth rate as 7%, dividend at time t plus 1 is, of course, then, dividend at time t times 1 plus growth rate, which is, 7%, like this, right? 1.07. But then again, our question is, how do they get that growth rate, right? So here, if you do that, 1.04, 1.4 times 1.07, so you'll get, 1.5, right? But that much is not a difficult thing. This is R minus G, right? You'll come to something like this. But then, where did that G come from? It's actually, you can, if the dividend has been growing like this, right? Obviously, the growth rate of the dividend is not even. It cannot be. In the first year, it's 5%. In the second year, I don't know. You can do that. 1.12 minus 1.05 or 1.05, and then third year, fourth year, fifth year, right? We can tell the growth rate is clearly not even every year, right? But then if the growth rate is not even, and that's the reality, right? If year to year growth rate is not even, how can we use constant growth model, right? So again, this is something we did at the beginning of the semester. You cannot expect actual growth rate to be even year to every year, right? Although the reality is not, but the reality is not even, but we can take the average. We can take the average of these numbers, right? Because if you use the average, then it will be all the average will basically eventually future value 5 is present value basically we know it's basically P0 times 1 plus growth rate raised to 5, right? It will be the same thing no matter what, think about it. It will be the same thing. What happened? If this is average, right? It will be the same thing as you know what I'm you know what I'm talking about, right? Oh, All right, that's too, I stretched it. But everyone understands what, I'm trying to do here, right? Basically, we need to find the average growth rate from this, and we know it has to be geometric average, right? It has to be geometric average. So we know what to do. We know what to do for geometric average, right? It will be, this is, how you find geometric average. Then if you do this with these numbers, right, you'll get actually, something close to, oops, where is my, I should stop. So in our example, right, um, the uh, the dividend in year one was, oh, the last dividend was $1.40, right? And the dividend in year one was $1. There were 5 years. And if you do this, of course, it's just 1.4, right? And the whole thing is 1.4. And then just quickly using the your calculator, right? 1.4 raised to 1 over 5 minus 1. You'll come to what? 6.96. Right? You'll come to 6.96%. Right? That's the exact growth rate. Right? So you can tell. Oh, and in this example, they use just they rounded. Um, they rounded clearly. So obviously, if you it might be slightly more than that because or slightly less than that because then it's 0. Slightly lower if you actually do it. So let me. The logic is, we understand it's 0.06, pretty much the same. But obviously, then the denominator will be slightly greater. With a slightly greater denominator, this will have to be a slightly smaller number. And if you, let me see if I have, did I download? So here's the Excel file that I have it on. And you must have downloaded this all along. I mean, as you are doing this part, you must have downloaded this. And if you didn't, that's too bad. I mean, it's your, it's your, uh, you put yourself to your own disadvantage if you haven't done this, while this file was being used in the video, right? So, oh, I mean, I use this for variable growth model, Um, but in the golden growth model, let's do it. Let's plug in those numbers, right? So I'm gonna dividend that time. So I should write. So then the whole thing will become, right, 1.4 times 1.0696, right, over 0.15 minus 0.0696. So you will get, it's pretty much the same number, but just to be, let's try this. 1.4 times 1.0696, and then divided by, open parenthesis, 0.15 minus 0.0696, and close parenthesis, and hit OK. 18.62. So it comes to, so as I said, it comes to a slightly and the exact number is 18 point. Oops, what's going on? The exact number is 18.62. So the difference is not significant, but I'm just showing you that it's all due to rounding. Okay. So then the third model, next model, is variable growth model. Okay, the next model is the variable growth model, and the variable growth model is based on the more on reality, because businesses do not grow at a constant rate. That's not the reality. It goes through a different growth phase. Of course, after you reach, after the company has reached certain point, certain milestone, then they will go into a relatively constant growth period. But early on, it looks more like this. Early on, it looks more like this. So it's well stylized by the product life cycle theory. And what does the product life cycle theory tell you? Product life cycle theory is basically telling you, where's the mouse? Product life cycle theory is basically telling you that businesses, industry and businesses go through, and also product, right? It can be a more, macro version of product life cycle is industry life cycle. Industry life cycle. Okay. Oops. What's going on? Industry life cycle. But a micro version of that is the product life cycle. And basically, The theory says that all products or businesses go through a life cycle, such as, first, stage one, research and development, growth stage, right? Stage two, and maturity. Stage three, decline. Stage four, right? Stage four, which is decline. But it doesn't have to be like this. And we have two curves here, two curves. And the first curve, the green curve is the innovating firm. Innovating firm is actually the firm that is the uh, market leader and innovative in its products, right? So in other words, that means this is the company that uh, this is the company that brought something really innovative to the market, right? Innovating firm sounds like, just by the semantics, is every company strives to be innovative, isn't it right? You do. Every company wants to be called innovative, but actually they may be innovative in some ways, in their uh, business process or whatever, But what we are talking about here is not those, uh, not those, fuzzy areas, something qualitative that is, hard to measure, something that is, quite easily evidenced, which is what? Did this company put out an innovative product? In other words, innovative product is something that never existed before, right? So the innovating firm, in this sense, is an innovator, but that put out a completely new product. So what does that mean? Um, in English language, the word new uh, can be ambiguous. It can mean two things. One, you bought a new watch, right? It's complete. It's a brand new watch, and that's called a new watch, right? But but watch has been, around for at least 200 years, right? So watch by itself is not an innovative uh, product, right? You just got a new watch; it's just brand new. But let's say you bought a smart watch. Okay, these days they have smart. Okay, I don't know how really innovate. Yeah, it's innovative because um, it didn't exist before, right? It has never existed. Something like, its watch, its computer, its, Fitbit, and these things. That's innovative in the sense that it has something like that has never existed before, right? I mean, think about the smartphones. iPhone was the first smartphone. They say there was something, before iPhone, but that whichever it was, whatever it was, it never made any commercial success. The iPhone is the only smartphone that made the first phone that made the first commercial success, right? And it was brought into the market in 2007. So iPhone is an innovative smart because there was no smartphone before. I mean, you might think, oh, there was BlackBerry, but BlackBerry, yeah, you could do basically you could take picture and you could also surf the web with a smart with BlackBerry, but it was kind of limited compared to a touch screen, a phone like that, uh, like iPhone. So basically, iPhone is a result of R&D, right? And then so until like 2008, probably 2008 or 2009, I there was no competitor for about 1 or 2 years. Apple was the Apple had the monopoly in the market, and during that period, it experienced an explosive growth or exponential growth. Okay, and I told you, you don't just use the word exponential or explosive just for fun. It has to be supported by data. Graphically, it can be, and visually, it should be. And I told you before, uh, the pattern of the growth, um, the pattern of the growth has to be like this, right? Um, that's what increasing at an increasing rate. The growth is accelerating, right? So that is, what is meant by exponential or, explosive growth. If it is just, a constant growth or um, this, uh, and after, so obviously, no, 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 what's going on? Eraser. Yes. So, past that certain point, then growth was relative. Yeah, 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 yeah. That was eraser. Okay. And past that point, it had constant growth, right? Constant range. And then after that, at some point, the growth, the slope is flat. So again, um, at early stage, right, it showed this exponential pattern, right? It showed exponential pattern. So of course, during the monopoly period, right, and then uh, the competitors enter the market. And as the competitors enter the market, right, the competitors also see, a very steep growth again, but it doesn't show, that kind of, it shows very steep. So when we say competitor, steep, constant growth, and then growth rate slows down like this, right? Steeper slope is a, a visual and graphical confirmation that the growth rate was very high. And then after a certain, point, the growth rate slows down. And then as the for the industry as a whole, it goes into the maturity, right? And then into after that into decline. But as I said, decline doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be a decline, uh, because when the companies, if they reinvent the product, or you see, let's think about the smartphone market. Is the smartphone market uh, in maturity? I think it's somewhere, actually, somewhere here, right? Because this uh, almost everyone has a smartphone these days, but there are still um, the the market segment that still can be exploited, right? Uh, throughout the world, if everyone has, the entire world population has a smartphone at least. Some people may have two. Some people may have three. I mean, they have, you know, a very dubious purpose, cheating on their spouse, right? You have two phones, or you have like undercover operation. Obviously, you would need, several smartphones. But even um, even if we ignore that, uh, still, not every child has a smartphone. Not every senior citizens have a smartphone. And there are senior citizens who don't like smartphones because they find it cumbersome. Um, but until everyone has a smartphone, the market has a room to grow. And even after that, um, uh, people still, some smartphones break down, so they want a new model, or even if the phone is still good, the operating system is constantly upgrading, right? As the operating system upgrades, the old phones no longer are good, so you have to get a new phone. So in other words, they hardly go into decline, and so this is, I haven't looked into the smartphone data, but I think smartphone market is somewhere here, right? It's not exactly, but this gives you an idea. Oh, oops, what happened? Did I close it? Okay. Uh, um, we understand that there are um, four growth phases, but when the growth, clearly we are not interested in something like this, or we're not interested in negative. This is negative growth, right? And this is zero growth, right? We're not interested. We're not interested in this. We're not interested in this. But we know there is a fast growth rate and slower growth rate. So that's why we have variable growth model. And the variable growth model is also called, multi-stage model. But most of the times we'll be assuming two-stage, right? Oh, I can do this. Good. I only discovered it. So usually, just two-stage model. So let's take a look at the example. So here, the most recent annual dividend of Warren Industries, a rapidly growing boat manufacturer. Now, as I said, this is a Q, right? Rapidly growing. This again, adjectives and adverbs may seem like like an excess baggage, or something that belongs to the literature only. Uh, uh, but it's not really true, because it can give you. I mean, they can. Um, Sometimes they support, right? the adjectives and adverbs support the case. Like, we don't need to know the name of the company, whether it's a boat manufacturer or not. It's not a big deal. I mean, it must be some manufacturer, right? But whether it is a boat manufacturer or that's not a big deal. We don't need to know that. But most recent, but rapidly growing, that the company is rapidly growing. Oh, that gives you an idea. Oh, it is like, it is currently growing like this, right? It's currently growing like this. That's, what's important. It's at this stage. So sooner or later, it will go into this stage, right? Slower growth. So this is $1.50 is T0, basically, dividend at time T, right? Dividend at time T. And the firm's financial manager expects that the dividends will increase at a 10% annual rate over the next 3 years. So next 3 years, 10% is G1, right? Growth rate 1, fast growth rate. At the end of 3 years, right? End of 2015, the firm's mature product line is expected to result in a slowing of the dividend growth rate. So look, mature product line. So what does that mean? I've been telling you, when the company is mature, then it doesn't grow. What that means is it has very little room for growth, right? 3 years later, it will go into a slower growth rate, and then it says slowing of the dividend growth, 5%, right? Which is, this G1, G2 is what I added in there, because that was not in the original text. And then if it says for foreseeable future, what does that mean? That means indefinitely. Indefinitely means if it grows at 5%, that's constant growth rate. It's constant growth. So here's the thing. I put it into Excel, and it's a literally two-step model because first, what happened? Okay. Here's this is that example. 2012, right? Dividend was $1.50, and it's going to grow at 10% for the next 3 years. So here, right? I did, basically, this is, you'll have to lock it, and then 1 plus growth rate, you'll have to lock it. Lock, and then raise 2, right? Year 1 digit, right? And then I drag it down, right? And then, it's going to automatically generate the dividends for the next 3 years. Okay, required return is this. Now we need to find the present value of those cash flows. So present value, simply, you lock this and raise it to the year's digit, and you drag it down. So you got this. And then we need to, these are the present values of those future dividends. So we need to sum that. And then after year 3, so from the next year, it's going to slow down to this. So you generate the dividend T plus 1, which is dividend 2016, and then from then on it's going to go into the constant growth phase. So we're gonna have to use constant growth model, or Gordon growth model. So dividend at T plus 1, dividend T plus 1 over R minus G. Okay, then you get, you think, oh, this is the price of the stock today. No, this is the price of the stock as of or at the end of 2015. At the end of 2015, because dividend T plus 1 is 2016. It's just one period model, right? So you have to remember that this is right value of the stock 2000 and at the end of 2015. But what is our time zero? Our time zero is 2012. So we'll have to discount it 3 years back, right? We'll need to discount it so all you need to do is just discount it 3 years back, and these are the present values. The sum. This is the present value. This is the present value of all those cash flows. So basically, a value of the stock at the end of 2012 at time zero, sum of these two, right? So that's basically how you do the variable growth model. So right, this is SV0, right? So this is how you use variable growth model. And on that note, we're out of time, and of course, we can't do free cash flow model at this time, but it was already done in the main lecture. You can always revisit my main lecture videos on my YouTube. So whatever we haven't been able to discuss, please visit my YouTube channel. Okay. All right. So we're out of time. So that's it for today. And so this is the last day of class. Hope you had a great, hope you have enjoyed, where's my, okay. Hope you have enjoyed the semester. Hope you have enjoyed my class. And good luck to everybody on the final. All right?
Oh, Professor, I have a question.
Yeah, hold on. So let me start recording. Have a great summer, everyone. I'll stop recording. Just stick around. I don't have much time because I have another class starting at 3. All right, take care, everyone. Stop recording.